Inconsistently consistent.
Hello, welcome to Inconsistently Consistent, the podcast where I keep doing the intro because I can't remember what happens in the outro. I'm Melanie, I'm one of your hosts.
I'm Rachel, I'm the other host, and today we are joined by a recurring guest, more so because we rope her into doing this stuff and not of her own free will, Lexie!
Hey, thanks for having me back.
We love having you on here, even though we know it's hard with your boss and everything, because she's kind of an asshole.
Yeah, her boss is a total bitch, you know?
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bit.
Definitely does not give her any leeway to do anything. Boss Melanie and podcast Melanie, two different people, also different from author Melanie. They're very different hats.
Also different from lawyer Melanie.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Also different from HR Melanie, because if Lexie has a problem at work, she has to come to HR Melanie to complain about boss Melanie, or potentially lawyer Melanie, because you don't know which Melanie is giving her the problem. And then HR Melanie will have a meeting with boss Melanie and lawyer Melanie. And, you know, lawyer Melanie has been fired a few times disciplinary action has been reached.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's surprising,
I did spank myself once.
I think that's appropriate.
Which resulted in more HR problems. I did have to put myself through sensitivity training.
Okay. Did you have to do that sexual harassment training as well?
Yeah, I did the presentation and took it.
Ayo.
I really got a good understanding, though.
Also, for those who don't know, Melanie was here. I got to see her. I got to touch her, not in that way, and hug her.
It was an HR Melanie, though.
No, it wasn't
HR Melanie doesn't approve of this touching.
It was friend Melanie. So it was so nice to get to see her. She was up here for a few days. We got to hang out, took a picture because we realized after 16 years of friendships, we have like no pictures of us together. We just have pictures of each other.
That we've taken of each other.
It's not like we take pictures and send them to each other. No, it's pictures we've taken of the other person.
Amazing. I think that's like a common thing with long friendships. No one ever has pictures.
Yeah, like I think the most recent pictures I have with Kayla are from the wedding.
Same.
So, you know.
Yeah. I think mine and Melanie's most recent picture is high school?
Yeah, like we did pictures in high school.
Yeah,
like high school grad, right? So at least there's at least then. We were talking about this earlier in the week, actually, and Lexie said it was like this picture we took when we were like in grade 10. I was like, no, we definitely took pictures in grade 12.
Yeah, in grade 12. And then I have a couple of pictures of her and my daughter on Instagram. So
yeah. That you took of me.
Yeah, she didn't know I took them. Until after. Until I posted it and tagged
her. That's fair. Also, before we actually get into what we're doing, because this is our podcast and we do what we want, it's time for Rachel's D&D segment. Because I haven't filled Melanie in on what's happened. I started to when she was up here, but then we were rudely interrupted by some guy doing lame stuff with fire.
Oh, yeah, it was
Totally lame.
how
Eating
dare.
fire, dancing with fire. Like, come on.
That sounds.
I
like
do
a
that on the
terrible time.
regular.
Right? I did that this morning.
Yes, we do that
I
during
did
our
that
office
last
meeting.
night before I went to bed, you know, like.
Exactly.
But yeah, so Lexie, I'm sure Melanie's informed you. I play Dungeons and Dragon with some people. We're currently on a 2-week hiatus because one of the girls was out of the country for a wedding.
Okay.
But the last episode, shit hit the fan. We had a werewolf v werewolf fight because one of our party members is a werewolf and he lost control and he attacked our party member who's a cat, but she can turn into a werewolf, so she's like a werecat.
Okay.
And they beat the shit out of each other real bad.
In
Percy,
real life, too. It wasn't even in the game. They were like,
yeah, that was in real life. They beat the
like,
shit.
stop hitting her.
Percy, the werewolf who lost control, did knock Cat. I know, on brand. Cat, who's a werecat named Cat. Did knock her unconscious. Percy got shot by that vampire hunter who's basically, one second, I gotta close my window. Basically Van Helsing.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds intense.
Yet this is like the first time, to me, it seems there's actual things happening and not a dating simulator
Right.
thing. That's all like everybody's getting married.
Listen, there's still a wedding to happen, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Not my wedding, but the
The
actual wedding.
romance is still alive. Yeah.
So then, yeah, we met up with my character's girlfriend's mentor, who's a vampire hunter. Me and him had a yelling match at each other, which I'm very proud of my acting in that moment.
Also,
Yeah.
for Lexie, who hasn't really heard the D&D stuff, Rachel met this, it's an NPC, non-playable character girlfriend she has.
Mhm.
But before they were together, Rachel blew up her wagon and then was like, want to hook up, basically. Because that's how you show affection.
I blew up the wagon because I picked the lock and there was some explosive stuff in it. And then literally, like, we helped her kill some werewolves. And then literally, like, that same night, as we were walking to tell the town that we dealt with the werewolves, I was like, listen, I know I blew up your wagon, but I can think of something else I can blow out.
Oh. There you go.
Didn't work.
Rachel bought her a wagon, Rachel's character.
Yeah.
Like, replaced her wagon. I told her she should really blow up the wagon again for their anniversary as like a remember the good times.
Exactly.
You know, keep the romance alive.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Keep the romance alive. So she obviously rejected me at first, but we're together now. So it kind of worked out, you know? But anyway, so yeah, we had a chat with the vampire hunter. Percy, after he became unwerewolf, tried to run because he was just like, he didn't remember. And I was like, oh yeah, by the way, you lost control. You almost killed Kat. And then Percy was like, I am noping out of here because what the fuck? And he turned into a rat and was biting my hand. And I was so close to killing him as a rat.
On purpose? Or like, did you just decide he's annoying, so I'm getting rid of him?
On purpose. I literally said to like the other people, I was like, I will kill him as a rat if you guys do not like give me a bag or something to put him in. He turned back into Percy, tried to punch me in the face because
Percy's an asshole. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. He's currently unconscious and tied up, and we resume next week. So we're going to have a conversation.
The romance aspect where this now becomes a BDSM tied up, right?
Yeah. It's not BDSM tied up. It's not that type of tied up.
Okay.
But yeah, so now we're going to have a conversation, figure out what to do. I think the plan is to tie him to a chair, gag him so he can't cast spells.
But it's not BDSM?
It's not BDSM. This is not a BDSM strong campaign. There's
a
module for that. There is a module specifically for that. This is not the module we're running.
Okay.
But yeah.
Speaking of
BDSM.
Strange romance. Segue. We can announce our segues now. In case anyone can't see them.
Yeah.
Or hear them. Because this is an audio format.
Yes.
We have read a weird romance. Well, actually, we've probably read more than one weird romance, but we've only read one for the podcast right now.
This is the weirdest one I've read. This is the weirdest romance I've read.
Same.
Yeah, I guess maybe this is the weirdest romance I've read as well. It gets weird. So we're starting a new series, potentially, if people like the series, called Weird Book Club, where we read a weird fucking book. And then we tell you all about how fucking weird it is.
Mm-hmm.
So all three of us have suffered through the weirdness that is this book.
Yes.
Rachel, you want to tell us about what this book is? Like, what is the book? Who is the book by? What the fuck happened?
Oh boy. So this book, Melanie came across it through an Instagram reel, actually.
Yeah.
It's called Forked, a light-hearted utensil romance. And it is by Ruth Cardello, who is a New York Times best-selling author.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just going to read the synopsis. And it's just...
And we actually purchased this book.
Yes.
We did. We bought this book with our real people money.
Nobody forced us to do this, except maybe me.
You kind of did, because you were like, Lexie wants to read this. We should read it for the podcast. And I was like, okay.
I don't think Lexie wants to read this. She's also shaking her head no at me.
I was handed the book and told, you have to read this if you want to get paid.
That is not what I said. I did not make your job contingent on this. Probably.
Oh, no, did you report this to HR, Melanie? Because that sounds like being forced.
HR Melanie found no issues.
She found, yeah, she's
made
aware.
There was a thorough investigation.
Okay.
That involved reading the book and found there was no issues.
Okay, so I'm going to read the synopsis. Is that an earthquake, or is your fork happy to see you? Imagine a World War II super soldier and his unit were trapped in cutlery by the government, and the only way they could transform back was by being intimate with a woman. Shortly after moving to a new city, Mercedes buys a set of antique silverware from an estate sale and discovers she has a preference for one particular fork. Is the man who appears when the fork disappears real or a salacious fantasy? If he is real, is he crazy, or could he actually be what he claims to be? Are you open-minded enough to accept him as he is and fall in love with the fork? Find out how far Mercedes is willing to go to save him and his friends in Spooned and Knived. Cautionary warning.
Hold on. Before you get to the cautionary warning, I just noticed it's all talking about Mercedes, and then who's the main female character. And then all of a sudden, are you open-minded enough to accept him as he is?
Yeah.
And fall in love with a fork. Hold on. When did I become a character that has to be open-minded to accept the fork and fall in love with him? I'm not Mercedes.
I also am not attracted to cutlery.
I mean, a spoon could probably get it, but a fork, no. Maybe a spatula?
Oh my God.
Ooh, all right. We're not getting into that.
I'm very offended.
Cautionary warning.
Moves on.
It's completely.
The spicy scenes in this novella are purely fictional. Please do not attempt to reenact any of them at home. I don't want to hear that my readers, FAFO, forked around and found out. Tins hurt. Let's keep the forks on the table where they belong, unless you're Mercedes. It doesn't say that. I'm adding it.
Yes. See, unless you're Mercedes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, if you're still listening, because you've got this sick fascination with this like we did, there's like a foreword thing in the book where she talks about how she writes regular like romance stuff that isn't down cutlery side of things. But she like had this joke with her sister about this type of thing, falling in love with a fork, like a character, and writing this, and that they talked about it and laughed so hard she decided to just write it kind of as like a joke. like ridiculousness in a book, right? So she knows this is weird and that it's ridiculous. And she's actually a fairly good author to be a New York Times bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
But this book is ridiculous. It may be like well written, but it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It is very well written, which I was surprised Melanie was like, yes, quite. This is very well written, as somebody who has an English degree and has published her own book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well written, not always to my liking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not just subject matter. I mean, like, the writing of it, right? To my preferences. But, like, the woman can write. And it's a well thought out story, even if it's weird as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Worth the read if you're into forks, for sure. If you're not, and you just kind of have a sick fascination with it like we do, it's worth reading just to really put yourself through the trauma of it.
So, fun fact, Lexie, I have told a few of my online friends about this book.
Okay.
And I also made a TikTok about it as well.
Nice.
I make TikToks. And I had a friend, I was in one of my friend's streams the other day, and one of them was like, so I went to a birthday party recently, and I want you to guess what the birthday person got as a gift. It was a book. And I was like, please tell me it was forked. And they were like, it was forked. And I was like, yes! It is spreading like Mercedes' legs for the fork.
Spoilers.
Right?
Who knew?
Not me.
Yeah. So what's everybody's like initial thoughts after reading this?
Well, as ridiculous as the book was, I do want to read the other two because I want to know what happens.
Yeah, which they're not out yet.
They're not out yet. One comes out later this month, and one comes out in October.
Later this month?
Yep, end of this month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the 29th, I believe. The second one comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, I also want to read the next ones as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we'll read them for the podcast because we'll see if people actually want us to talk about it. But I'm going to read it anyway. I need to know what happens. And this is like sometimes it's like a train wreck that you just, you have to walk
away from.
Even though you're horrified, but you're also like, what's happening? I need to know.
Exactly.
I am on the fence if I want to read the other two. Because I'm kind of like, it's the same, like you said, the train wreck. You can't look away. I'm like slightly fascinated, but also slightly horrified, like I was with this one. So it's, I'll see how I feel if I want to read the next two. It seems like 2/3 of the people on this call want to read the next two. And I feel like I need to also read the next two because it will count towards my Goodreads goal for the year.
Yeah, and they're short. Like, this is a novella.
Yeah.
Right? It was only like, what, 100 and something pages?
158. I read it in a day and a half.
I read it in 3 hours.
I read it over
took the longest.
Yeah, I read it over many days because I was horrified and I couldn't sit down and read it as much. I was doing other things.
The book didn't become like so out there though until I found quite a ways through.
Yeah, it was like towards the end is when it got really out there.
Yeah, when she, like does what she does with the fork, and I was like, "What am I reading? What's happening?"
When she does what she does.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then it got kind of strange, and I was like, "Man,
kinda,
what's happening here?" Well, up until that point, I mean, there wasn't anything too crazy. The man, appeared from a fork. That's not that crazy.
No, that's not that crazy.
Man appear from forks.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason I found it in the first place, because I'm kind of on Book Talk, except I don't go to TikTok very often. I kind of look at
Bookstagram.
Yeah, the Bookstagram, right? So I saw some reviewer, I don't remember who it was, had made a post about it, and I thought it was a joke. Like, I thought she just, like, printed some, like, little thing and she had the physical book in her hand when she was doing the little reel. And I thought she just kind of like stuck it on
I see.
onto it and just like made a joke
Making
about
a
it.
joke, yeah.
Because I don't think it was a reviewer I follow, but it was just like a recommended thing. And she said, the way she described it, she said, like, if you've ever read or watched Beauty and the Beast and thought, you know, Beast is great and all, but have you seen those sexy cutlery? Damn.
Have you
And I
seen
was
like
yeah, I laughed.
Lumiere? You know?
Yeah, he's not cutlery.
I mean, not with I don't know any of the cutlery's names in Beauty and the
I
Beast.
don't
Okay.
think they had them.
I don't think there was like a specific character that was.
Yeah, I mean, the closest you probably have is Mrs. Potts, and like, okay, Mrs. Potts, she kind of sexy, right? But like, you know, that's clearly everybody says it. Mrs. Potts, sexiest teapot I've ever seen. I've heard it many times.
Oh my god. I'm going home.
I'm leaving.
But I can't because she's my ride home.
Oh my god. I just opened up the ebook because I also have the ebook because I need multiple copies. And I just realized the dedication. She says, "My teenage daughter." She's dedicating to.
Yeah, I saw that.
All the spicy scenes. I didn't realize you plotted spicy scenes about fucking a fork with your teenage daughter. I really hope she's above 18. This is bad. Whoa. Yeah, I can't. My brain fried.
I don't remember.
We're not going in. Listen, this is not the podcast to go into about the dedication. We can save that for our in-depth therapy examination of this book. Figure out what is wrong with everybody in here.
Yeah.
Which will be called Rachel's Unhinged Therapy Session, where I'm going to roll my dice to determine my answer to you.
Yeah. Oh my.
All right.
Basically, we've got a lot of like regular romance tropes in here. Just like you got the virgin female main character, right? The inexperienced one. She's like introverted, bookish, shy kind of thing.
But if she takes off her glasses, she realizes she's beautiful.
I don't know if she had glasses.
I don't think she does. Also, we've got the trope of like she's into her neighbor, but you know, he doesn't seem to like notice her or something.
And she has a cat.
Yeah,
she has a cat.
She has a cat who she's, you know, hiding from the landlord and pretending is like a grad student roommate.
Yeah.
Named Mike, was
Love
it?
that, yeah.
Did you say a rad student?
Grad.
I heard rad student, and I was like, hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, maybe he's a rad grad student. We don't know.
But he might be a rad grad student. Some of us are rad grad students.
Yeah. His name is Greg, right? I believe it was Greg.
Yes.
Is his name Greg?
Sure.
The guy that she's interested in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Not the roommate.
Not the
fake roommate.
Yeah, not the romance.
No.
You know, romantic interest dude either. Yeah. So I mean, you've got that. You've got the whole like, her being really awkward and
not much of
making a fool
life.
of herself thing. So like, you've got all like the classics of traditional romance, right? Like the quirky stuff.
Yep.
And then you've got
the fork,
the shape-shifting man fork.
Yes, which is not a normal romance trope unless I am not with the times anymore.
No, and I mean, I've read some really weird alien romance stuff. So like, I've seen weird, but shape-shifting fork, that's new. That's a new one.
Yeah.
We can't say it's not original idea.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I definitely have not seen anything about it. So I updated this in my Goodreads to track for my reading goal. And one of my friends that I know from where I used to work, she commented on it, "Yas," when she saw the update that I was reading it. So I'm assuming she has read it. And I'm like, oh no,
It's spreading.
It is spreading like Mercedes legs for the fork.
And this book, like, it was published in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it says in the copyright portion. So, like, it's new,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
right? And multiple people are talking about it now.
It's got a lot of ratings on Amazon too.
Yeah.
Goodreads, so.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of ratings on it has a 3.82 out of 5 stars on Goodreads.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got 4.2 out of 5 on Amazon.
Mm-hmm. And like so the main character, the male one, is named Hugh,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like super soldier
Yes.
turns werefork. Right? He has like a Captain America origin story of he can't sign up for World War II
Right.
to fight for his country, which it's the American forces, and he can't do it because he has like, was he missing a finger or thumb or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, he's missing a finger, and apparently you can't be in the military if you're missing a finger, which I'm like, huh.
Mm. I think they were strict about that in
the 1940s.
So like any physical defect would
Mhm.
block them. So you got that like Captain America origin story of like couldn't qualify to sign up, wanted to fight for their country, went into this weird program, became super soldier, and fought in the war. Right? But where Captain America stayed in Captain America form at all times, this guy got to glow up to become shiny and made of sterling silver.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
You know,
so
pointy.
They basically, him and his squadron, they kind of like faked everybody's deaths because they needed people to think they were dead because they were this like super secret top tier classified information, and because they can like they could heal themselves, like regenerate in a sense, kind of like Wolverine-ish, but they can still die, but they can regenerate, you know, like Wolverine, Deadpool can regenerate and everything. So it's a little weird. And for some reason, the government decided to turn them into cutlery. I don't know if we didn't get that explanation as to why they got turned into cutlery.
And I think that's why I want to read the other ones to see if you find out like why cutlery and like and how and like
because they were like at a dinner being like, you guys are done your jobs now, here's medals, you guys did a great job, and then all of a sudden it's like I think it was like a flash,
a bright
something?
light or something.
And then all of a sudden poof, they have no awareness until Mercedes puts Mr. Forkew in, which Forkew she got forked by you.
Yeah, she did.
And she puts it in her mouth, and then he's like, I have woken up. My goodness. Yeah. And like, she's real sexual about that fork, you know? Even before
very sexual about the fork.
Yeah. Like, she's like eating her.
It was very descriptive.
And then like, I'm gonna lick the fork from tip to tail.
You know what? Right? You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna read that.
I don't know what we're gonna do.
We're gonna read that.
Oh no.
Let me find that. Let me find that section where she talks about the fork.
When she's mouthing the fork and it's not supposed to be sexy time? That one?
I'm trying to find the part.
I believe it's very early on.
Yeah.
Okay. Here it is where she talks about the fork. Yeah. It's heavier and warmer.
Hold on. This is all legal things. Shut up for a second. Why are you so... Okay, I didn't mean to be like that, though. For legal purposes, anything we're doing excerpts, we are going to say if we are saying an excerpt, and they are all the work of Ruth Cardello, copyright to the right people under this. Hold on, let me look at it because I'm protecting our legal interests. Copyright to Ruth Cardello, the whole thing. Okay, none of this. These are just our opinions. We should have put this at the beginning, but we're doing it now.
We'll put a disclaimer in the episode description so we don't get sued.
We will cover our asses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now you may go because we're not going to get sued.
Okay.
Lawyer Melanie had to come out for a sec.
All right. It's heavier and warmer, somehow making the act of eating something as simple as plain chicken feel like an indulgence. I love the way it feels on my lips and how it slides over my tongue. I feel like you guys just died a little bit.
You read it so beautifully.
Thank you.
Did you finish reading it?
I did. I don't know if you heard me. I can reread it if you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's reread it.
We're going to reread it. All right. It's heavier and warmer, somehow making the act of eating something as simple as plain chicken feel like an indulgence. I love the way it feels on my lips and how it slides over my tongue.
That is insane.
Yeah. And this is just her eating dinner. This is not the sex scenes, right? This is not like, damn, I'm going to fuck myself with this fork. This is, I'm having chicken and rice for lunch. Damn, I'm attracted to this fork.
Yep.
Yeah.
Damn, girl.
See, this is what happens if you're a virgin for too long. You start looking at the cutlery.
Oh.
Don't like that. I don't like that thought because now I'm thinking about some friends who are virgins, and I don't like that thought. And I'm gonna stop this thought before I go too far with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you really don't want to know what they're doing with their forks and knives. And
Why would you say? Oh.
Hey, if we suffer together.
Exactly.
And just like Ron said in the third Harry Potter movie, you're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it.
Oh my God. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
That's the motto to live your life by.
I mean, that's how I've been living my life since the pandemic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that happens. He like becomes a human in her apartment. They have a conversation. They kiss because he needs to taste her to make sure it's her, which was a little weird, if you ask me.
And she's thinking a delusion, like a hallucination.
She thinks she's lost her mind.
Yeah. But she's still into it.
I think it's when they go to the store and they go shopping and she's like, oh my God, you can see him too?
Yeah.
And the clerk is like, what the fuck?
And they're like, yes, I can see him. Yeah, so I love how she
give
also
him a whole new wardrobe montage.
Yeah. And we get a shopping montage, which I didn't think we would get.
Yeah. Very rom-com of it.
Very rom-com.
We get a friggin' like he gets pissed off or something because she gets flowers from Greg.
Oh yeah, he gets flowers from Greg.
He's all jealous.
Yeah.
And stuff. And
he turns back into the fork.
Yeah.
And then the cat shoves him underneath the fridge.
Yeah, because the cat has sense.
Yeah. Which you don't find that out until after when he comes back. And he talks to the cat. And he's like, I know you did that.
But before all that, I guess it was before the flowers, he goes like pissed off that she's like talking to Greg and like storms off and then saves some woman from being assaulted, but then goes and like does a Fight Club thing to make money.
Yeah. And like, weren't they going back to her apartment to have like dinner? Like they picked up stuff to make dinner and they were gonna have like
that's after the shopping montage they do that, you know.
And then she leaves and goes to the pharmacy and picks up like 15 boxes of condoms.
Yeah. She said she bought every condom there.
Yeah, and displayed them on the table.
Yeah,
to her bed.
Yeah, on both nightstands, she
Yeah.
said to like make
Okay.
it not look so weird.
Yeah, I want to read one of my favorite parts from it because the pickup line he dropped on her, I was like, ah. So he's trying. So for context, dear listeners, he's trying to help her like flirt better because apparently she's not very good at flirting, and she wants to like, kind of riz the upstairs guy. So this is the part that I was just like, ah. So he moves closer and I back up until I'm pressed against the refrigerator. He places his hand beside my head and leans in. When he speaks, his tone is low and gravelly. You're the answer to questions I never thought my heart would ask. And I literally, the first time I read that, I was like, sir, please.
That's intense. I think my favorite part of the book was when it's like at the end and they go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, they get their food served to them, and she's talking about how she didn't get a fork, and then she says he went home in my bag that night.
Mm-hmm.
So he turned himself back into a fork for dinner.
I think she says like she has like puppy. She gave him like a puppy dog eyes or something, and he went home in her handbag.
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
I don't understand. Okay, so I have a question about that.
I have answers, probably.
Did nobody see him turn into a fork? Like, did they just look and there's two people, and then they look again and there's just one person at the table? Is nobody questioning?
Furiously licking a fork.
Yeah. Is there...
Yeah.
That is
just
an interesting question. Maybe they
giving the fork a fucking blowjob in the middle of the thing.
Maybe they like went to the bathroom and he changed. Like, she went back to the table with him. Yeah,
and she's like, let's go to the bathroom. And he's like, oh my God, we're gonna hook up. And she's like, no. I need you to turn into a fork and get in my purse. Right? He's
but
like, I thought I was
or
gonna
maybe
get lucky.
Maybe they thought like he stood her up or something.
Well, something stood up, but I think it was the tines.
Something was at attention, all right.
And he's a soldier.
I know. I'm so
funny.
I'm so funny. I like how she describes like technology to him as well. He's like, what's a laptop? What's a phone? He has to be like, oh, a laptop and a phone is
Oh, I got annoyed by how many times she makes the forked joke. Like, I'm getting forked. Right? Or like fork. I don't think she says fork you to anybody, but she's like, I want you to fork me or something. Like,
yeah,
she says stuff like this. Like, once or twice was funny.
Yeah.
The amount of times it's said gets really annoying to me. So yeah, just a note. I wasn't that like. So when we get spooned or knifed, if that pops up a bunch of like, oh, let's spoon. I'm going to be like, okay, the first, you get one or two. You get two max on this. No more. No more of the jokies. Not on this.
Okay, I don't understand. I don't know if spoon, like the only thing you can say be like, oh yeah, he spooned me. And spooned is not really a sexual thing. It's more like, we're going to cuddle up and like snuggle, you know? It's not really like he spooned me hard. No, that's not sexual.
I mean, you can just be like, ooh, would you be the big spoon tonight? You know, like that.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, you want to be big spoon or little spoon? Huh? I don't know what that noise was I just made.
You've had some strange noises come out of you this episode so far, and they all sound like dinosaurs. Rachel, are you scared because you're singing the Jurassic Park theme song again? That's what you do when you're scared and you're about to die to monsters. Are you safe where you are?
I mean, there might be something like on top of my apartment building that I'm just trying to attract, you know?
Don't tell me you've read Forked and now you're thinking, ooh, a satellite dish. I need a new relationship.
No, okay, so little side note, I had one of my friends do a tarot card reading for me. And I just asked, like, oh, will I be in a relationship in a year's time? The card said absolutely.
Watch out for cutlery.
No, the card said absolutely the fuck not. You have shit you need to work through, so don't even try it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's very fucking rude of you, but all right.
Yeah.
Oh,
The cards are rude.
The cards are so rude.
So rude.
So then they have a shopping montage, and he's like, he has a fascination with seeing her in dresses, which, like, I get 1940s, they're old fashioned and stuff, but it's very like the modern, strong, independent woman who don't need no man nor woman, no anybody of any gender, is kind of like, I don't like this vibe that I'm getting from him.
Yeah. He seems too fascinated by kneecaps.
He has a thing for knees.
Yeah.
He's got a knee fetish.
Yeah. But I mean, like, that's not the worst part about him. He is a fork half the time. He spends most of the book with 4 prongs. Right? How does he, okay. So when you have like a werewolf situation, you have body of human turns into werewolf, and you usually see like the physical transformation, right? Like if you think like in a movie or even in a book, like it'll be like described. It's not like poof, werewolf, right? And also you can kind of see then in that type of transformation how like the limbs go from being human limbs to werewolfy limbs back to like human limbs, right? But like, how does one become fork? Right? Where's anything? Where is anything gone?
So what I like to picture is
you like it.
He somehow folds his arms and legs so they become the prongs. So he like somehow like crunches himself up so they become the prongs. And his body becomes his body elongates into the handle.
I love that.
So he's like a giraffe. Right? Flip the fork so the little prongs are toward the ground, and now you have a giraffe.
Yeah.
You is part fork, part super soldier man, part giraffe.
I imagine I imagine he like crouches down and then his arms and his legs are like in prong position and then his neck just elongates.
And he becomes metal and miniature.
Yeah.
Oh, we should say it's the size of a regular fork. She's not just licking a human-sized fork. The man is about 6 foot tall, so like
that would be fucking terrifying. Can you imagine just having a man-sized fork in your apartment?
I mean, she can hide the cat from the landlord. I don't think she'd hide the 6 foot tall fork. Yeah. Also, can you imagine if it didn't turn into metal and it was just man, but fork shaped? I'm just suggesting fan fiction for this now. All of a sudden it becomes a horror novel.
Yeah, right?
It becomes, instead of becoming forked, it becomes the Forkening.
And he's the Forkinator.
He travels forward in time to fork people, but not in the good way.
Yeah. I imagine he would charge at you with his giant giraffe neck head and headbutt you.
That's a scary sight.
Just imagine he runs at you with his 4 prongs.
That sounds terrifying.
No, the prongs are on the ground, remember?
That's his legs.
No, but those are his legs. So So imagine him in his fork human form scuttling towards you with his long giraffe neck.
Yes,
sounds
and then
terrifying.
headbutt you with his weirdly giraffe-shaped head. Because that's the only way that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah. And you see him and he just swings his head at you as he's running.
But also he identifies as a fork, so he paints himself silver like those
Yes.
like a Tin Man.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm a fork. And you're like, you need Jesus. And mental health.
It's like, you need an exorcist. You need Charles Darwin to wipe you off the face of the planet because survival of the fittest. The fuck is this?
Yeah. Oh, no. Natural selection. There would be a lot of forks at that point. Yeah.
You just imagine a whole town of these fork hybrid giraffe humans running around.
They're the apex predator. What are you talking about?
So we've got, all right, if we're going by the predator chain, we've got lions, tigers, bears, humans, fork hybrid people.
But all of this aside, because this is just fan fiction that Rachel and I will probably write at some point. I was so surprised we get the Captain America reference.
Mm-hmm.
There's a motorcycle on your end.
It's being weed. My landlord's doing some landscaping. Sorry.
It's being wheat?
I was gonna say weed whacking, and my brain just went no.
You killed Lexie. She's dying. I'm gonna have to put out a job ad because you killed her.
Oh my god.
You leave that in. That's amazing.
I was gonna say weed whacking, and my brain was like, no.
Yeah, because he's wheat. I know we're reading a book about a man who turns into a fork, but I don't think your landlord can turn into wheat.
No, I don't think they can, honestly. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Well, so what I was going to say is we get these, references to, pop culture and different other stuff, and I'm so surprised we get the, Captain America reference, because they have, a Captain America backstory almost for Hugh,
Yeah.
but then she comments on it in the story, so I like that little bit of meta-ness with it. But then they also talked about Occam's razor, and that's so highbrow. And I was like, we're talking about a man who turns into a fork and a woman who's like, damn, I want to fuck the fork. Would you turn back from man to fork because you're more attractive potentially? So why are we talking about Occam's razor? Are you still there?
I just muted because my landlord came by with a lawnmower, so.
It's the wheat again.
Yes, the man who's made of wheat came by with the lawnmower. I see.
Oh,
so Occam's razor is a 14th century principle attributed to Friar William of Occam that says if you have two competing ideas to explain the same phenomenon, you should prefer the simpler one. So it's a philosophy idea for problem solving, and it's that's really highbrow to be in a book about fucking a fork. I was so surprised by it.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Captain America because in my mind, I was like, Marvel is canon in this universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wonder if she shows him Captain America. Can you imagine that? She's like, let's sit down and I'll show you who you're based off of.
We're going to watch all the Captain America. Hang on. I need to find my other, I say favorite. It wasn't my favorite part, but I read it and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I sent it to some friends. I'm just going to mute again because he's...
It's the wheat again.
Mr. Wheat.
Okay, so one of my I sent this to some friends and they were like, what the fuck did I just read? And I was like, you read the exact same thing that I read, and because I read it, I needed to traumatize everybody. So I've read my share of romances. I know where this could go with very little effort. All I have to do is slide my hand down between us and give him a little encouragement. He'd groan and lose control. I'm not on birth control, but he has 80-year-old sperm, so there's that. If fiction is to be believed, all kissing Hugh's neck would drive him wild. He'd rip my clothing off, claim every inch of me, then.
He clears his throat.
I sent that, and I was like, 80-year-old sperm.
Yeah. Oh my. This book.
So here's the thing. One of the things that when Melanie first brought this to me, I was like, oh God, she's gonna have sex with the fork. And then I was reading the book and reading the book and reading the book, and I was like, maybe she's not gonna have sex with the actual fork. Maybe this is just like a,
Yeah, maybe it's just going to be the man having the sex. And he turns into a fork, but not during the sex, you know?
Yeah. Or maybe it was just like, he turns into the fork, not during the sex. And I was like, oh, I was like, okay, this is, whatever. And then, of course,
The Forkening.
She does what she does.
She does Forkening. Yeah, she forks herself with the fork.
Yep.
Well, actually, first, she doesn't fork herself. She's holding the fork as an emotional support fork while she diddles her whittle.
And then she does diddle her whittle with the fork, just on the outside. And I was like, all right, that's not that bad, right?
What?
Not that bad,
And in context, I was worried which end is she going to shove up inside her.
Right.
Okay? So in context of that, I was like, okay, it's just a little rubby rub on the outside.
I'm definitely going home.
Right? She's just doing a little that on the outside, and is
diddling with the flat end of the fork,
yeah, the flat handle end, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's not as bad as it could have been, right? Especially because we know already there's spooned and knifed upcoming, and if she has to put it up inside her as a fork, what the fuck's she gonna do if it's a knife with whatever characters show up in there, right?
Okay.
I'm worried about fictional characters' vaginas. I'm just saying.
But see, like, now we're talking about the anatomy of fucking with a fork versus fucking with a knife at this point. I don't think logistically you would put the sharp end of the knife inside you, and if you did, we need to make a therapy session, and we need to talk about why you want to hurt yourself with a knife in your vagina, okay? But I don't think that's going to happen. I think it would be like the round, smooth end of the knife. Lexi's going to quit after this and never come back on the podcast ever again.
Legit contemplating like my life choices right now.
Lexi's thinking of contacting like the workplace health and safety board.
She's thinking about contacting the bar and being like, my employer made me read a book about a woman fucking a fork.
She said I had to do it in order to get paid.
And like the spoon is kind of smooth and round in all areas, so I don't. End, it's not that dangerous.
Yeah.
All things considered, of all the cutlery it could have been, right? So I was a little worried which end was going to happen. Then so when it was just like external clit stimulation, I was like, okay. This is not as bad as it could have been.
Stop saying that.
Terrible. It's not. It is. She could have turned the fork around and used the little pointy bits on it.
She could have not used the fork at all.
Yes,
I mean, she could have not used the fork at all. Yeah.
The book legit said on the back about you. She had to be intimate with it or something. Okay, maybe it didn't.
No, it did not.
I read it somewhere.
It didn't say that she had to be. It says he can transform back was by being intimate with a woman. That did not specify that she was gonna jackhammer the fork against her clit. All right, like.
Yeah, and that's Ruth Cardella's words, the jackhammering.
Yeah, not mine. Those are Ruth Cardella's words.
Little jackhammer against my clit. Unfucking believable and so good.
I just love you reading this in your monotone, like.
Yes, I wanted to read it in a monotone way. Mm-hmm. It was a character choice. Now, what I would like to say, many things, obviously. Mm-hmm. I don't know anymore. What am I saying? I forgot. Oh, the fork vibrates.
Right.
Because this woman has never seen a vibrator before. Right? Never owned one, but she gets a magic fork that vibrates, and she's like, damn, sexual awakening time. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe someone should have just, did a little searchy search on the Googles and bought herself a vibrator.
She says, in the past, I considered buying a sex toy, but I wanted my first time to be with someone other than myself. Now I'm wishing I had a dildo to plunge into me so I could finally feel what it's like to be fucked.
I am on that page. Jesus Christ.
I don't know. I must have been traumatized by this book because I don't remember any of this. Mm-hmm.
I think you probably just blacked out while you were reading this.
I must have zoned out or I've blacked out from it. Mm-hmm. I've erased it from my memory. Mm-hmm. But I swear I did read the book.
Read a little blurb here from page 128 because that's where you are about the dildo part.
Yeah.
She's like, this time there's no denying the fork is vibrating in my hand. I should be scared, but my body's already humming with need. And I'm so damn close to a climax, I don't want to stop. I turn the fork so the tines are enclosed in my palm and bring its handle to my clit, expecting the metal to be cold, but it's not. It's warm and hard. And a damn little jackhammer against my clit.
It is.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? We've got a vibrating fork.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a sex toy out there in the shape of a fork that if she really wanted to, she could have just got that. I'm just putting it out there.
I imagine that the merchandise for this book to promote it would be vibrating forks, but a sex toy in the shape of a fork.
Stop.
If I wrote this is what I would do.
That would be
Ruth,
I need to leave. I need to go home.
That idea from me. Not that I don't. She's never going to hear this, right?
I would laugh so hard if she heard this.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, I just like the fact that she's like, I just fucked myself with a fork and didn't hate it. It gives this. I feel like if you were to write, I fucked myself with a fork and didn't hate it, the way Katy Perry. I don't know.
Katy Perry could do the theme song.
She definitely could.
Can you imagine if this becomes like an actual rom-com movie?
Stop it.
Live action?
Stop it right now.
I'm pitching it.
Put that idea out there, please.
Do not put this into the universe. I do not want a live action forked.
Yeah. And I would like to see Chris Evans cast.
Stop!
And not mention the Captain America thing that he looks like. Maybe make a joke like, wow, you look a lot like Captain America. Ha 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 ha. So funny.
I don't want this in the universe.
And Mercedes? Who would we cast as Mercedes? An actual Mercedes car, maybe?
That would cast a Mercedes Benz.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
And it just turns into that weird episode of My Strange Addiction where the guy's in love with his car.
Oh my god.
Which she referenced in the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's like, this is totally different. I'm not that weirdo.
Or the woman who's married to the Eiffel Tower.
Yes,
I don't
that
think the
one. Yeah,
But that's a thing.
Yeah, who's humping the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
yeah.
And she didn't ask for consent.
The tower can't give consent, so it's a no.
Yeah, it's a no.
If they can't speak, it's no. You don't have consent.
Mm-hmm. Also, another little blurb from this book. After she's fucked herself with the fork and didn't hate it, according to her, she says, "When I could be pleased by standards that low, sex with a real man would have to be amazing." What?
Listen, as somebody who's had sex with multiple men, you'd be surprised.
Maybe you should try forks.
No.
Other cutlery?
No.
Really, there's a lot of options out there.
I'm just gonna say no to that. I am not into forks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not into cutlery. I am into humans.
Mm. Do they have to be even all the time?
Yes, they have to be humans all the time.
Okay. One last thing. Sometimes the sex scenes were written like decently. I was like, ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes the sex scenes went a little like technical manual style, right? It was very like, mechanical and less like flowy and like figurative written type of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's just personal preference. But one thing I would like to point out is there's a point where there's like a stand and carry fuck position, like he lifts her up. And at no point did anyone call it a forklift, and I'm pissed off about it.
I remember you texted me about that, actually.
Yeah. That would have been a fantastic joke. Reprint the book, Ruth. You can use that one.
Yep.
I'll give you that one free.
I just like the fact that one of the main plot points, is the fact that she is a virgin, and this seems to be driven home that she is a virgin and she does not want to be a virgin when she hits 25. And listeners, I'm going to tell you something right now. It is okay if you are 25 and a virgin. It's okay if you're 35 and a virgin. There is no timeline on when you need to lose your virginity if you're not ready. Just because all your friends are doing it doesn't mean you need to do it, okay? This has been a PSA from Inconsistently Consistent LLC on sex education.
Also, the concept of virginity to me is very stupid because it's like you're losing something. That implies you're losing worth. And that's based off of like the old idea of, women lose their value as pieces of property because they have had sex. They've been tarnished. Like when you drive a car off the lot, right? When you buy a new car, drive it off the lot, all of a sudden it depreciates in value.
Yeah.
Like the more you drive it, the more, like the less value you have, right? So the idea of virginity is already fucked up, like the term. And also, if someone is not heterosexual, how do you determine when they've lost their virginity? Right? It's all this subjective thing. So it's not a specific term for anything, but have sex when you're prepared, when you're ready, not because somebody tells you have to do it by a certain age.
And this reminds me of, I don't know if I think Melanie, you've listened to Distractable. I'm not sure, Lexie, if you've listened to Distractable.
I've showed her some clips. I think I showed you Bob's Fridge episode.
That's so funny. There's one episode in particular where they're talking about how like they were misinformed about certain things as children, or like as teens, whatever. And one of them was like Wade was talking about how his cousin was explaining how to pop a cherry. And his cousin explained it as he's like, yeah, you gotta reach up inside and grab it and pop it.
Oh my god.
And I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. This is the sex education.
I hope he either figured this out beforehand, or some poor woman who got weird shit inside of her squeeze that should not have been squeezed. I hope he put out a public apology to this woman.
I think he figured it out after the fact, but like, and then he was describing being like, yeah, we imagine being like, I can't find it. It's like, no shit, because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not a water balloon up there
Yeah.
that you've got to locate and pop. Hi.
Oh my god. Yeah, these sex scenes are just like, yeah.
But no, we don't have that answered question, right? It's still unanswered. This whole why did he become Fork?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's going on with the rest of his unit? There's other people.
Okay. So we're gonna this next part of this weird book club, we're gonna do what I'm gonna call Cards Against Humanity-esque, where the question is going to be, how did he become a fork? And we're just going to shoot out the first thing that comes into our mind, like when you pull a card from Cards Against Humanity, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Are we all going to add to it, or are we just going to
Yes, we're going to add to it. We're all going to like have our own theory of why they got turned into cutlery, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we can like add to each other's nonsense, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Not me.
I think they got turned into cutlery because they wanted an easy way to dispose of them because they were probably just going to melt it down.
Oh, you're being serious.
I mean, I don't know.
That's probably it.
That's
right. That's probably what it is. It's probably that they wanted to cover up
their families.
unit.
Their families already think they're
families already think they're dead. But like, what would be the point in that? Is kind of my thing. If your families already think you're dead and you can't contact them, like, why turn them into cutlery in the first place? Like, you know. Okay, somebody else. Why did they get turned into cutlery?
Okay. Well, they made a deal with an evil sea witch, and instead of their voices, they gave up their bodies and became metal. And they didn't kiss the girl in time. So she's like, "Oh, now you need to fuck a girl as a silver-plated fork, or you'll be a fork forever."
Oh my gosh, that was my theory too.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Same brain.
Yeah.
Or they just like looked at the cutlery too hard during dinner, and they were just like looking at it, and they were like, "Oh," and then all of a sudden they were.
Okay.
Or he tripped and fell into a vat of silver liquid metal, but it was radioactive. Because like an X-ray plant where they manufacture X-ray machines, that's a totally specific thing that really does happen in real life. That blew up, and it now became toxic waste of the metal. So when they poured it into a thing, it was just like a person. That's one of the things.
Good one.
Okay.
Or Mercedes is completely batshit.
Or this is a fever dream and she's actually in a mental health hospital because she has schizophrenia.
Yeah. Or it was a dream the whole time.
Ooh.
The end of the last book is she wakes up and she's been in a coma for 10 years.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine?
Or the end of the last book, she wakes up married to Greg.
Oh!
And this whole time, Greg has been trying to get her family's money and convince her this was true. So he hired an actor and did like pyrotechnics and like visual effects stuff going on with like smoke bombs and stuff to be like, "Oh, look, a man."
He pulled an invisible man to convince her that she was crazy so he could get the money.
Yeah, and it was a deal between Hugh and Greg to do this, to get her family.
Because they're brothers. Hugh and Greg are brothers in this one.
They're brothers.
Yeah.
And let's just throw Mike in there too. He's the third brother.
And Mike the cat was a plant the whole time. The inside man.
No, Mike and Greg, they were roommates. This is
and the cat could talk the whole time. The only real magic in here was there was a talking cat, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
I was behind it all.
Mm-hmm. The cat is the mastermind. The cat, at the end of the session, the cat is the big, bad, evil guy. And it's revealed at the end of the last book, and we get a cliffhanger, and that's it.
Yeah, and we get like a scene where he's in like a big leather chair at a mahogany desk, and he like spins around, and it's the cat.
Did you say mahogany?
It's a mahogany desk. Yeah.
I swear you said mahogany.
Mahogany, the wood.
I know, but I heard mahogany, and that's why I had to ask.
Okay. Lexie and I heard. Did you say mahogany with an M sound? Because I heard mahogany again with an M sound. Yeah,
I heard mahogany, and I was like, "Is this a new hybrid thing of wood between birch and mahogany?"
Yes. Well, Baha humbug.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
No story time for you.
No. Okay. I also think that maybe they
I think we can end it there, Rachel.
Yeah, we could end it there. I mean, I was just gonna say maybe they did get turned into the cutlery, and the point was to like lock them in a vault with all the other super soldiers they've turned into household appliances and utensils, and there's just a vault of these people.
Yeah. Maybe they were supposed to be delivered to the president, and the president just has all the old soldiers that have gone like MIA and stuff as different utensils or devices in his house. So like one of them's a microwave
Or a broom.
a broom. Yeah.
And they stay there and they live out their life as a utensil or an appliance, and everybody lived happily ever after, and nobody fucked a utensil ever again.
Yeah, because nobody would wake up because the president's not going around sucking on shit. As far as we know. Don't go down the road. We're not bringing up Trump. It's not happening today.
No, we can't, because that's where my brain went when you said that. You're like, not the president's wood. And I was like, okay, we're not going to do that. But anyways, if you liked this unhinged, weird book club where we read books and talk about it, let us know. You can let us know through our socials. We're Inconsistent Podcast 1 on Instagram, Inconsistently Consistent on Facebook. You can email us, inconsistentpodcast1@gmail.com. If you want to specifically tell me, or maybe you just want to compliment me on my sexy reading voice, you can message me on Instagram and TikTok. It's the same. It's _RachelVR_.
And if you want to find me, you can find all my socials and links and everything on my website, which is melanieflynnbooks.com. You can get a copy of The Toy Maker in paperback or ebook, and very recently it's been released as an audiobook on Audible and iBooks. So you can listen to it now, and somebody's narrating it and doing a voice acting experience. It's very fun. So you can find that as well.
Yeah, and if you want to hear me ask Melanie what's it like to be famous and wear many hats, listen to the episode with the interview that I did, which comes out before this one.
Mm-hmm. So it will be out already.
Yeah, it'll be out already by the time this one comes out. And then, of course, I guess you can find Lexie working for Melanie if you're so inclined to find her.
Pretty much, yeah. You can't find anything else.
Lexie is just a figment of my imagination, and she turns into a spoon after this.
And you put her back in your bag.
Yes, we're platonic, though, so I don't fuck myself with my spoon assistant / best friend. It's not that kind of friendship.
No.
We're not going to get into that because, anyways, bye!
Bye!
Bye.